Okay, so welcome, welcome everyone. Welcome to our session tonight. I hope I know some of us had a fantastic week, and I know some of us didn't trade at all today because on the call we're trying to find out, we're trying to ask questions. Where's everyone? Where's everyone? It was peeping today, and unfortunately, some of us were sleeping. We're sleeping on the job. So I do hope that this next week we're going into would be an equally fantastic week. That some of the trade setups that we've already identified, they would play out very well this next week we're getting into. But whatever happens, we would not take a trade out of what's it called now, excitement. So we would always get our confirmations correct before we jump into a trade, and we would definitely use proper risk management because, like I said on the platform, one of the things, one of my goals from this few months is not to lose at all. Even though I'm going to lose, I won't lose as I used to lose before. I try to see how we can manage ourselves to ensure that we minimize our losses, because the truth is this: you would encounter losses on this journey in this industry. It's just being able to minimize your losses and maximize your profit. Make sure that you don't lose much more than you make, so that's the goal. So, and I know that with all of the right education and guidance that we provide here, everyone should be able to make that possible. Now, what I plan to do today is just to walk us through market structure, just to show us, and also to kind of look at some of the charts that we've looked at, why I took the trades that I took, why I drew the charts the way I draw them, because sometimes I may draw them and we may not really understand. So the mind behind the charts, is what I just want to dissect right now, and also give us something to look out for, when drawing our charts, because I feel now, like I say, indicators are not really my thing. I'm not really an indicator person. I like to see the naked chart. I like to work with what price is offering, So the indicators can lag. They can try to predict and get it wrong. But if you see what price is doing, if you just follow what price structure, market structure, what did it do in the past? Because market, we all know that price has memory. If you did something in the past, it's going to do it again. So just keep following the price structure. If you did it here before, it's probably going to do it there again. And support and resistance is very, very, very important. So you need to be able to understand how to draw your support and resistance lines. If that foundation, if you have that locked down, every other thing is just chicken, like some people here in my country would say chicken change. Okay, now this is let's say this is a typical. Before I go into price structure, let me just pick up some of our charts, and then we can take things from there. I hope everyone can see my screen clearly. Type Y on the platform if you can see it clearly. If not, type N so I can look into it. Okay, you guys can see me. Can't see my screen. Can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? Type Y if you can. Okay, great. Okay, but can you see my screen though? Okay, so that's the problem. Let me see. Okay, what am I looking at now? Telegram. Okay, can you see my screen now? Good. Now, where do I start from now? We know me. You know what I do. I trade patterns. I need to see the patterns in the market. If I see it, I recognize it, and that's why I try to encourage us to look for these patterns in the market. We know them, the head and shoulders. the double bottom, double tops, flags, and what have you. Because the truth is these patterns, the more you identify them, the more you use them, the more you get used to them. It will be easy for you to see them if you try to look for them, often. They will just jump at you, like the Eurocard trade. This particular Eurocard trade that we were milking. Which one is that? Eurocard, let me see. I had this one. Before it got up there, let's see if I can bring that from here. Eurocard. Where are you? Eurocard. Yeah, here we are. Now, if I can see it now. Yeah, this trade. Excuse me. When this trade started, this one, when it started here, I think I saw it from here. Can someone tell me what they see here on this chart? What jumps on you? I don't like the
I see a double bottom. Wait a minute. What area I'm looking at?
I'm sorry. I think that's why I don't like Zoom, because it's not dynamic. You still need to go in and click. Where is it now? Share computer, customize full. Okay. All right then. Let me just this is what I want to share. Can you see this now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what can you see?
I see a double bottom.
Are you sure? Any other person?
What else I see?
Any other person?
Wait, don't tell us yet.
Yeah, I know. I won't tell you. I'm just waiting for the rest of the people to show me. Oh, you don't. Okay. You don't see a W.
Yeah. Yeah.
W. Okay. Who else?
Oh, shucks. Oh, I did.
Okay. Okay. Sir. Okay. 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 Yeah, you guys are right. Now for the double bottom, I would not. I would be careful trading this as a double bottom. I will be careful. Why? Because the normal one, what's the double bottom? The ideal double bottom should actually be this. Should be coming from up here. The ideal double bottom should actually be coming from up here. Because what you want to do, you want to be able to use your trend line to draw it and ensure that it all aligns. Excuse me, this computer started again. You need to be able to do that. So your double bottom should actually be coming from, it should be dropping, then drop, then you have the left, like a W. So you have the left leg, then you have a pullback, then a drop, and then the right leg. So that's an ideal double bottom. This can still be classified as a double bottom if you saw it early enough and then you put in but in this kind of case, you won't necessarily jump in full force. You need to, you have to be careful just in case it fakes out. But yes, very correctly, this is a double, there's a head and shoulder. Adrian said it, is a head and shoulder here. It's very, very pronounced. In fact, this was the sweetest head and shoulder I've ever seen. So you see that, you see that. This is what I saw, and I tried to alert everyone on the platforms, so the different platforms. But it seems I was the only one that saw it. So some people were still trying to sell when in fact they should be buying. So most people didn't see this, so I saw that move. I was like, I think I see a double bottom. Actually, I think one person, Sean, was it Sean in J-Rock's platform actually saw it, but he was already in a sell. So, but he didn't want to, he didn't know how to take a loss on the sell, you know. So he just stayed it out. And what happened? I think this move went how many pips? Was it this one? I think it started from here because it actually went more than 400 or thereabout pips, you know. So, but there was nothing that could be done. I caught it to the upside, you know, but I didn't anticipate this. I think it was this one to the upside. I didn't anticipate. I didn't know it was going to go that far. It went another 300 plus pips. I didn't anticipate that move, you know. So I think I stopped here and took profit either here or here. I took profit somewhere around here, but it went, you know. So what am I trying to say? Once you look at it, if you try to identify them over and over again, eventually it becomes part of you. You know, it becomes part of you. You just naturally see it when you look at it. And this was on the weekly. So I think one of the other things. Okay, I think this is what I kind of saw. I saw this happen. I saw that it broke this. There, I can't remember. And then I knew it was still going up. Okay. So head and shoulders, I trade head and shoulders, double bottoms, double tops. So you need to look for those ones in the market. Now, disclaimer, because it doesn't know. Sorry, your line is breaking. I can't hear you. I'm losing you. I know you're speaking, but it's breaking, it's crackling. Yeah, I think it's better now. It's better now, yeah. Yeah, this is inverted head and shoulder, yeah. Whether inverted head and shoulder, yeah, this is what it is, yeah. Yeah. So how you treat head and shoulder is this. Let me bring the chart out because it should really look at it. Here is it. Without if everything remained equal, without the what's it called, the dysfunctional movement of the candles, this is what it should look. Oh, okay. I think I should share that screen then because of Zoom. Let me see. New share. Where is it now? Okay. So this is what it should naturally look like. Can you see this chart? Can you see it? Okay. So this is what it should naturally look like, a head and shoulder. So you have your shoulder, you have your head, and you have your shoulder. This is where you have to draw your lines in, because this will determine when you enter the market. So, but sometimes this down and this down don't align. So you just sometimes you need to use your own imagination, or use instead of using a line, use a zone instead. Remember, I've always said it. Use a zone instead. A line you may not get the actual place that it turned out, but if you use a zone, then that should be able to guide you. So you're looking at the leg go up, you see the pullback, then it goes up again, then it pulls back down, and then it drops, then it pulls back and then drops. The idea of the head and shoulder is really plays out more for as a reversal pattern. You know, it just helps to, just to reverse a particular pattern that has been in action. Let me take it back. I really don't like what's it called? I don't like Zoom. Can you see the screen? Okay, all right then. So we were having something like that. Maybe the market is dropping, so it does a head and either a head and shoulder to reverse to go back to the other side, or maybe, okay, let me put it like this. We are having this movement, you know, creating higher highs and lower lows, higher lows and stuff, you know. So at one point, it's going to want to reverse. So what it can do is to do a head and shoulder, you know, to do a head and shoulder before that reversal happens. And see what is happening here? To do a head and shoulder before that reversal happens. So it was probably doing this, and it does a head and shoulder, then the reversal happens. So that's probably the same thing. Maybe this doesn't really show us what we want to see. It could be like that in most cases, but this doesn't really show us. Let me see if I bring it out to the lower time frame, if I can see it more clearly. Not necessarily, but really, if the market is coming down, what the head and shoulder does is to reverse it. The same thing happens to a double top or a double bottom. They are just reversal patterns. Just coming and reverses the pattern, the move that the market was making in the initial on the first when it started moving. Now, how do you trade this? This is your head and shoulder. Always identify where your pullbacks are. I would say this because if you look at this, I would have said this would have been my pullback here, but then look at this market got to this point. It got to this point. It pulled back up to this point. So there, I have to identify that, and because at that point it creates a structure with the left-hand side as well. So notice it got there, dropped, and this got here, it dropped. If you go back as well, you notice that price did some movement in that area. If you go back, you notice same things happening, you know, same things happening here, reactions in that area. I would have said here, like I said, but if this broke out of that chain and I still have some things happening on this side, so I naturally will want to take it up here. And one other thing you can also do is to use your line chart to see that move. Even with the line chart, that line chart is stopped somewhere here. But anyway, I would use this one. Why? Because it makes more sense. I wouldn't want to, if I use here, I risk being faked out, you know. I risk it, my target getting to this point, because if I say this is my target, for instance, that's also how you draw your target. Let me take you out of here first. So how I would draw my target would be like this. Oh, come on. Sorry, I know some of us are used to my computer doing this. Probably that would be my target, distance from that place to this place. So let's assume I picked it all the way from here, and my what's it called? My middle was here. Let's say, for instance, I picked my middle from there, or somewhere here, yeah. So if I put it here, and I'm thinking, oh, come on. Oh. Okay. So this, I say this is my target. I missed a lot of pips anyway. Maybe from here I would have gotten a lot of pips from here. That probably would have been how many pips? 800 plus pips. But look at what would have I would have missed. If this was in a lower time frame, I probably would have missed a lot more pips. Why? Because I didn't take it from where it should be. So looking at this, it went as high as this place. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, it went as high as that place. So I would be able to draw my, oh, come on. You know, we always have this every night. So my target would be that. Okay. That would have failed me anyway. I think the best on earth, but good thing, this would have failed me because I would have taken it wrong. Because if I took it from here, where I took it from, would have failed me. Anyway, good thing I got out of profit. I think the best one would have just been taking it from where we saw that line chart. Yeah, taking it from where we saw that line chart. That would have been the perfect TP. So that gives us an idea that a line chart is very, very critical. Some places it may be called a cheat code, you know. So that's like supposed to be your target if you were taking this trade. And how do you enter this trade? You don't jump into this trade until you see a breakout. You don't jump into it until you see a breakout. What is your breakout? The same thing we always do. Wait to see a candle break out of here and close above it. If I bring this closer, you would see so many wicks. You see this, it broke out, but it didn't close above. It broke out, it didn't close above. The only one that broke out and closed above was this candle. This candle broke out and closed above. So two things you can do. Two things. When this candle breaks out and closes above, you enter on this candle like we always say. You enter on this candle, this particular one. This one. You enter on this candle. Then you can let it ride to your TP. That's number one. Then number two, you can wait for it to break out and come back to do a retest. Market structure, which is what I want to show you today. Let it break out and let it come back and retest that zone that it broke out of. Then you can enter it, or you can do a buy limit. It breaks out of it, immediately it breaks out, closes above and stuff. You can come back and you can set your buy limit because you know that it's going to go up and come back and test. So the moment it comes back and retests that zone, it's going to pick your trade and then you can ride it to the top. So two things, you know that this is definitely going to come back. So even if it breaks and closes above, you still enter the trade. So if it comes back, you are not worried that you're going to have a drawdown because you're not over leveraged. You probably have a 0.1 in your trade. So you let it come down. This is where your stop loss would be. Unfortunately, might be big, but you can put your stop loss here, which is probably going to be your shoulder, or you can drag it up here, or some people can, because you're very confident that that trade is going to work out. So you want to, or you can even decide not to use the stop loss. But if you put your stop loss there, do you good. Yeah. So you can ride it to the top. Now, if you look at this, the risk to reward ratio of doing your stop loss there. What's your stop loss? Stop loss was probably 500. And what is your reward if you were going to take the trade? 1,000 plus. So it's a 1 to 2, which is very, very okay. Every time you want to take a trade, ensure that you at least have a 2 reward a 1 to 2 risk reward. So it means that if you take a trade, there are 2 probability. The probability of you losing is 1. The probability of you gaining it is 2. So this is a perfect trade to take. So get into the market, 0.1 lot size, that you let it ride, let it jump out. If it jumps out, it would come back, no fear. Even if it breaks the structure, no problem, because it's going to continue on its way. It's a valid head and shoulder. And number 2, head and shoulder, the higher time frames are much more accurate than the lower time frame. The chances of this head and shoulder failing is much more prevalent, possible in the lower time frames. It's more prevalent and possible in the lower time frame, but on the higher time frames, the chances are higher of that head and shoulder winning. They are higher on your higher time frame. So that's one thing I want us to understand. You have a question on that head and shoulder? Any question on it before I break into the next thing? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you not hear me? You can't hear me. I can't hear you. I'm not able to hear you. Can, okay. All right. No problem. No problem. Okay. Now, when you see a trade, how do we begin to identify market structure? Now, first of all, you need to go to your higher time frames to look at what is happening. Now, recently, I've just decided to start looking at the weekly charts because the weekly chart tends to be more, gives us a bit more. Remember what I say, the higher you go in your time frame, the more accurate you can get this information. So the weekly time frame seems to offer much more accuracy on the charts. Now, if I was in this trade now, I would go to my weekly time frame or even my monthly to see what's happening. You know, I haven't checked monthly in a long time. I think I pretty much just use, except maybe I want to really see where it's going to get to, you know, but I really like to look at the weekly time frames now. Now, if I look at the weekly time frame, I can already see a structure building. I can see price coming here and dropping, coming here, breakout, coming back, testing, dropping. You know, there's some thing happening around this area. There's some form of reaction around that area, this middle area here. You know, I can also notice some reaction around here. Oh, it said your free meeting will end in 10 minutes. That's Zoom. Okay, I'll have to rejoin it then, or have to recreate another one. So I can see some activity on this side as well. Can see some activity on this side, you know, but it's a very busy chart anyway. So some activity, you know, but activity, what do I mean? Areas where price got to and started reversing. Area where price got to and started either reversing. That's the word I'm looking for. Now, let me take all of these blue lines out and draw support and resistance lines that we are used to. Okay, so I have identified that line. The next line I want to identify now is maybe like the lowest point the price got to. I can identify that, identify this. Now, why are these lines important? Because these are going to be like my take profit zones. These are where my take profits are going to be. My stop losses are going to be. Why did I identify it? Because if you notice, it came down, it touched it, it went back, touched it, it went back. You know, so that is what I'm seeing on the higher time frame. By the time I probably go to my lower time frame, I might be able to see them even clearer. Now, one other thing I try to do is to use the line charts, this one instead, because they would naturally give me the accurate areas where these turns occurred. I can just do that, you know, can see this clearly from here. Yeah, and now I can see that one. It came, rallied and came down, did all of that. These lines would also be able to help me to identify zones, my zones. If I look at this, I can even still see some ones, but in order not to make it too busy, I'm just gonna stick to that. Then after this, find out the highest point my price got to, which is here. You know, I can see that happen. Then I can then go to my lower time frame to see what else I can see. Maybe come back to my charts. That's my daily charts. What else can I see? What else can I see? I can see this move here. So this move here. Price got there. Reactions. If care is not taken, sometimes you may end up seeing that you may have to draw lines all over your charts. That's what may happen. But the truth is that they are very much important for you to have those lines, because they would determine where your take profits would be and where your target, your what's it called now, stop losses would be. Okay, so that's that. Let me look at things on the 1 hour time frame. So if you look at this, you can clearly see what is happening here. You can clearly see that the market is moving up. Yeah. Let me bring this closer. Now it's fine. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Let me see what's. You can clearly see that the market is, well, this market is already done. Why? Because it's already done its upward movement. Now it's doing a reversal. Now remember what I told you about head and shoulder and double tops preparing for a reversal. That is exactly what happened here. After that long upward move, you saw what happened. It did a head and a shoulder on this part. Oops, excuse me. So it did a head and a shoulder. I hope you guys can see that. That's the head. That's the shoulder. And then we see that drop happening. So that could be a sign for you as well. If you start seeing market surge, it rallies, goes up. What you want to also do is to sit on your hands and wait for when it's going to do a head and shoulder or a double top. The minute you see a head and shoulder or a double top forming, you can trade that head and shoulder because you already know what to do with the head and shoulder, or you can wait for that head and shoulder to complete so you can jump in the trade on the second leg of that head and shoulder or the second leg of that double top that you would see. Double tops are generally for bearish reversals, and double bottom are for bullish reversals. So if I was to see this, if I was to trade this, I already know what to do. Or this is what I saw, then I decided to jump on that trade for the Euro cards that we are milking now. Now, on the H4 time frame, what do you understand by market structure, or where do you see market structure? It's here, naturally, places where price begins to make a reaction, places where price begins to pull back, places where price begins to consolidate are interesting places. They are what will create structure in the market. A typical example would be this area. Why? Because you notice price rallied. By the time it got there, had a reaction. And if you look right as well, what did you see? The same thing happened. It came down massively, but by the time it got here, it started having a reaction as well. Yeah. Now this would be considered a consolidation. Why? Because it's not going up, it's not really coming down, it's just in the middle. I know some of us already understand what some consolidation is, so this would be considered consolidation. But look at what this one did. It went up, did a kind of a little consolidation, it started going up again. So that is a structure. That is something to look out for in the markets, because that is what you would be trading. So if I was going to trade that, I would draw that area, keep it, because it might be useful. Why? Because price is definitely going to probably come back to that place. If it broke out of it, it's going to come back there. Now look at what happened. Going to the lower time frame, to the 1 hour chart. See what happened. Price got here, it did a reaction and jumped up. I can select that place as well. So I would consider, or before I say that, now during our early days, when we're teaching the basics, you understand that every time price breaks out of a line, maybe price was coming, if it breaks out of that line, there's a tendency for it to come back to test that line and then continue. This is one of the things that we learned before. So it can do this, which is naturally called a pullback. A pullback, it will go up, then come back and retest that place that it fell out of, which is what we naturally call the structure. This is where it creates that structure. We can see the same thing happen here. It broke out of this line. Let me delete this. It broke out of this line, and what did you see it do? It came back to retest it. before continuing on its direction. You would see the same thing happen in this area as well. Yep, it broke out of it, came back and retested before continuing on its journey. All throughout history, you would see the same things happen over and over again. I think the what's it called is gonna go off now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this one now, then I'll recreate the session. Yeah. Oh, I should still be able to use the same link. Okay, let me see how it works. If it knocks us out. Okay, let me see. No, I don't think it worked. I don't think it worked. Let me see. Start. No, I don't think it's gonna work. It doesn't work. Let them come. Okay, if you guys can stay on the two platforms, so we can just manage that. If you can stay on the two platforms, that'll be great. Okay, great. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so let me share the screen again. Okay, so delete that. So what was I trying to say? So price will naturally, when it breaks out of a zone, it will naturally go back to that zone to either retest it, it will retest it before continuing on its journey. That's why we identify that as a zone. So it breaks out of here. This is where it broke out of, say for instance, it broke out of this line here, so it will naturally go back and retest it before continuing on its journey. That is price. So that is what creates structure. This happens everywhere on the charts. What I want to take it down. This tends to happen everywhere on the charts. But sometimes it may not go back and test it fully. It may just do a mini pullback and then continue on its journey. So that's where you enter the market. Now, so how do you trade it? The same way you trade every kind of pullback. You wait for it to break out of this zone, and then you don't enter on this break and close. You wait for it to come back and test. This is where you take your trade. This is where you take your trade. This is your winning trade here, this area. This is where your trade is taken. And then where do you take profit? You take profit where, for this one, it's difficult to really tell where to take profit. Why? Because if you look left, there's really nothing unless you now start going back. Let's assume you wanted to enter this trade because so happened. There was nothing on this side at all. Assume there was nothing on this side at all. Yeah. It may be difficult for you to know where to take profit. But if you go to your higher time frames, let's assume there was nothing on this side. So this is what would be happening. See on the left, there's nothing. All you're seeing is empty spaces. So, but if you go to your higher time frame, the higher time frame should be able to show you what happened in the past. So look at here. See, as far as this area, there's really nothing. Let's go to the weekly. This is where you now start seeing some elements, some reaction in the market, some places in the market, like that place, like that place, like that place. So if you come back now down here, So what that tells you is this will tell you that your next place of take profit will be that line. Your next place of take profit will be that line. And sure enough, if you look at it, what happened? When the price got to that place, you see a reaction. When the price got here, you see a reaction. Now, we picked these areas not because we knew what was happening in the future. We picked it based on this past. We picked it based on this past, these things that happened in the past. And like we say, it has memory. So if it saw that, if it did that in the past, it will definitely do that again in the future. So what does that mean? It means that if it gets to that place that it got to before, it's going to have the same reaction that it had before. It's going to either do a pullback or do a consolidation or just form a form of reaction before continuing on its original direction or falling back down. So if you don't see anything on this side of the chart, which is what are we looking for exactly? Where to take profit, where to get out of the markets. We're looking for that on this side, but we don't see it. What do we know? How do we know what to do? Is to go to the higher time frames to see what it did in the past. When I went to the higher time frame, this is what I noticed. I noticed this line. I noticed this area where price reacted. I noticed this area. Why did I notice it? Because you see what happened. Price got here, and then dropped. Price got here and then dropped. So it means price is obviously going to get to these points and then have some form of reaction. If you notice to this side, it broke it, then it came back and retested it or something. I just saw some form of reaction on this side. So it just tells me that price is definitely going to get here. If I go to my monthly time frame, I can still see some more reactions, which is this area here, this area here, yeah, this area here, this area here. These are some reactions, these are some places that I can decide to take profit at, if just in case I don't see what is happening on my left on the lower time frame. I hope you understand that. So going back to the daily time frame, this is where I'm taking my profit. This is where I'm charting. This is where I'm trading. So I move with the market. When the market gets here and starts to form some reaction, I can take profit or I can enter another position. I can enter another position. What did you notice? It came out, it broke that place that it's been to. And then what did you notice? It came back and retested it. Now, remember I taught you Fibonacci as well. I taught you Fibonacci. If you're trading Fibonacci, you could draw your Fibonacci there. So if I drew my Fibonacci at that area, what did you notice? Okay, let me see. I can see the did you notice the 23.6? The 23.6, it reversed. It came to retested the 23.6, which is a confluence with where it broke out from. So the fact that it came back and touched the 23.6 means it's definitely going to go up. I remember what I said about extensions. The 161 rule. If it did that, it's probably going to get to 161. Yeah, remember what I said about extension? If it touched itself at the 23, at the 50, at the 80, where is it? 61.8 is definitely going to get to the 161. Did it get to the 161 or not? Yes, it did. It got to the 161. Look at it. So if I was to trade this naturally, look at my take profit was supposed to be here. Following that Fibonacci rule, I would be so glad because it will hit my take profit and even break it. So this is when the market started going up. So I draw my Fib and it came down to the 23. Normally it's supposed to give you 50% what's it called, retracements. It retraces itself, it gives back 50%. That we already know. But if it doesn't give back 50%, if it gives you 50, it gives you 23.5, it gives you 61.8. The next target can get to 161.8. So you should be able to put 161.8 and then take profit at that, which is what it did here. So that's one rule if you want to use the Fibonacci rule, or if you want to ride it, trade with it and go with it as it moves, that also is possible. So every time you have a reaction in the market, you enter another position or you take your profit and wait for it to form again. What did it do? Remember what we talked about flag as well? So that's another strategy. So we saw that surge. Yep. And then we saw that pullback. Yeah. So we enter on this trade and then it went up. We entered on this second candle, not this one, because this one was just breaking out. So it breaks out, it closes above, and then we enter on this candle and ride it to the next junction or to the next zone. The next zone meaning where we identified on the higher time frame. Why? Because there was nothing else to identify on the lower time frame. So this is where we felt it was going to get to, and sure enough, it did get there. Now, what did you notice on this next zone? Price got up there, it broke out of it. What did it do? It came back and retested it. So that is a zone, that is a confirmation of a zone. It came back and retested that place. If you decide to use the Fibonacci as well, the same thing, you would also notice. Remember, I always take it from the where it last got to, draw it from top to bottom. And this time around, what did it do? It broke away from the 23. It came as low as the 38. It came as low as the 38. So if you use your, what's it called now? If you use your line as well, you would also see that is also, that's the flag thing. If you use that as well, you would also notice the pullback there. You know, pull back, then close above, then trade it, and then ride it to the top. So it really depends on what you want to do. If you want to use market structure, it's coming back to test the zones that it's tested in the past, those zones that it's tested in the past. If you want to use that, that's still acceptable. Or if you want to use Fibonacci, that's acceptable. If you want to use the flag pattern, draw your trend lines on your price, that's still acceptable. But the trick of me stacking trades is just what it is. I put multiple trades at every junction. I find the price rests. What happened? Okay, I think I've lost people on the join me. But I know you guys are still here on the okay, yes. Didi, you're still there, but I think your audio is not working. Anyway, let me continue for the benefit of those that will be watching this recording. Now, it breaks out, retest that, I take my profit, or I enter another position. Breaks out, retest that, I take my profit, or enter another position. Then breaks out, and what did it do again? It retests that, I enter another position. Because what keeps happening, every time it breaks and retests, it goes up. Breaks and retests, it goes up. Breaks and retests, it goes up. Now, when I now start seeing, now the next thing I would do, I would remember what I say. I always take my profit on every reaction I see in the market. When I enter the position here, I got here. What did I say? I start seeing reaction. I'm out of the market. I'm out of the market. I then wait to see what it's going to do. Why do I jump out and wait? Because I know that prices tend to move. It doesn't go. It doesn't just keep going. There will always be a correction. There will always be reversals in the market. So every time it moves, I see a giant move like this. I'm thinking to myself, okay, it's trying to create structure. It's trying to create structure. It's making higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. At one point, it's going to create an M, that's a double top, or it's going to create a head and shoulder. So I need to be ready so I don't get caught in the markets. So I'm either putting in positions and taking them out, or stacking them and watching them, or ensuring or using my Fibonacci as well to take profit where I'm supposed to. I'm not leaving my trade in the market and forgetting about them. Yeah, I understand structure. It goes up, comes down, goes up, and then eventually forms a double top or a head and shoulder, then reverses, which is what we saw here. So if it then reverses, then I can now start on my journey down. You know, so when that happens, I take my profit, I watch this and see what's going to happen, and then sure enough, it came back. What did it do? It reacted on that same area that it reacted before, which is here. Okay, let me put this one there. the same place it had that reaction, came back and retested. What did it do? When it dropped, it came back and retested that side, reacted in that side. What did you see it do? It jumped up. It didn't just come in and break it. It came back, it reacted in that area, then went up. And then finally, what did you see it do? It broke out of it. Always look out for a giant, a large candle, an engulfing candle like this. What did it do? It came down. So that told me this is going to be a downtrend. This is going to be a downtrend. So I'm trading it down. I'm going down with it. But what did you notice it do? It came out of it and then retested. What did we say it's going to do? We say that every time it breaks out of a zone, it's going to always come back and retest that zone. Did you see it retest it or not? Yes, it did. It broke out of it, came back and retested it. Yep. So that's my area right there. That's my area right there. I have to take this into consideration. Now, I traded down. I have probably entered my position. I let it ride. As it comes down, it got to that next zone. What did you see it do again? It reacted. That's the same place it reacted when it got here. It's doing the same thing again. Market structure. Market structure is doing the same thing again. It got here, and what did you see it do? It reacted. It reacted. So market structure. Now what did it do? It broke that, and what did you see it do? It did a retracement. Okay, this didn't really come back to test it, but then a pullback was always occur. I think this is where we had that NFP. Yeah, this is where we had that NFP. That's that just scattered the whole thing, you know. But that said, we know that this is the next place that it's coming to. Why? Because that was where it reacted before. Structure. It will always, you know, react at structure areas. So it's coming down here. So what we expect this to do is for it to get here. You know, I jumped out of this trade because I didn't want to stay overnight. You know, over the weekend I would have stayed in. So it's coming back to this point. And what are we expecting this to do? Structure is probably going to break this, because maybe look at where it's probably going to eventually, either here or here. That's probably where it's going to eventually, or it may just reverse here, or it may reverse here. But we know that these are zones that price can actually get to. You know, you see structure, see how structure works. You know, the moment it breaks it, if it comes down, breaks it, I'm going to wait for it to come back and retest it and then ride it to that next zone. You can see this everywhere. Let me see if I can find another pair that has done the same thing. Now, look at that as another example. Let me look at this on the higher time frame. Now, I love this pair because remember what we talked about when we were looking at supply and demand as well. So I say that whenever you have that big move, you know, the market would always want to come back and correct it. So this is what happened here. You know, that correction is what happened here. But anyway, it didn't really get to the higher, to that zone before it began to retrace. You see? So, but who knows? This may have just been it trying to play around, probably still going back up, because this is where it broke out. This is the zone it broke out from. So who knows? It might still get there before finally coming down. So it did that move. So all of this is just coming back to correct it. Structure. So when it breaks out of a zone, remember we talked about it, every time it breaks out of a zone, it comes back to test that zone, and then when it comes back to test that zone, it continues on its original direction. So this tells us that this market is coming down, and when it comes down, where is it going to get to? Where we had a lot of reaction here. You can probably get it to probably get to this line here, or probably just test this zone and go back up. This is what we're looking at, you know, this trade. How do we know? Because it broke out of this zone. Put that there. It broke out of it. Yep, it broke out of it. So it's supposed to come back and test it. Sometimes the test could be immediately, the same day or the same hour, whatever. But this just took a long time. So I know that it's going to come back to that zone, either to test it, before finally dropping. Or one other thing that it can do is to come back, break out of it, structure, remember structure, it will break out of it, it will not just continue, it will come back and retest it. I just want you to always remember that as you trade, always remember that, sorry please, always remember that price would do that. Let me see what else is available. Look at this. So if it breaks out of that, this is where it's going to get to. Structure, low, always look left. Always look left to see what is out there, what has been there before. Because if it got there before, it's definitely going to get there again in the future. Now, let me see. So if it breaks out of this zone, it's going to do a retest. Excuse me. It's going to do a retest, and where is it going to? That next zone up there. And why? How did we know? Because we looked left and we saw that it had some reaction in the past here, which is why we drew that zone here. That is if it doesn't continue coming down. We expect this. Now looking at this, I expect this might just jump up before coming down eventually. All right, so just look out for that. Now, bringing this down to the lower time frame, because most of us will not trade the higher time frame. So you see what's happening. You see that move. It did that. It jumped. It got out of this zone. It broke out of this zone. This was a zone on its own. Let me delete this giant blue line. This was an area on its own. Why? How do I know? Because you would notice, it kept testing that, it would go here, come there, drop, come there, drop, come here, drop, come here, drop. So this was an important zone to price. This was an important zone to price. And then what did it do after it broke out of it? Now this is a particularly sweet one. It didn't come down to test it before continuing on that journey. So that's to tell us that it may not always do that, but most times, I can say 90 to 95% of the time, when price breaks out of a zone or a structure, it breaks structure, it's always going to come back and retest it. It didn't do that in this case, but then what did you notice it do? It did a pullback. It didn't just keep going up. So I would naturally draw my zone around that area where I saw a pullback. This would be another entry position for me. Yeah, this market wasn't particularly very nice because if you look at it, just kept was choppy. It didn't have a consistency to it. So, but it did that, went up, dropped, went up. It did another fine reaction here. This would have been another entry point for me. Then it went up, and now what are you seeing here? This is trying to form a head and shoulder. Now this might actually mean that, okay, it's going to reverse because you see that head, see that shoulder, you see that shoulder, yeah, and you see that head. I particularly don't like this trade. It doesn't look very nice. Yeah, then another head, another shoulder there, and then that drop is happening now. Yeah, that drop. So that is to tell us that it may be reversing now. Remember, it will go up, do higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, and do a double top or a head and shoulder, then drop. Yep. So as it's coming back, where are we going to be taking profit? We're going to be taking profits from places like this. Here. Why? Because you notice that reaction. It got here and dropped. Yep, so I'll be taking my profit from that zone. Where else will I be taking my profit at? You guessed it, this zone here. Why? Because price got here, had a reaction. Where else would I be taking my profit? Yes, guessed it, that zone there. Why? Because price got there and then reacted. Now, the reason why you identify these zones is nothing other than for you to maximize the full potential of your profit, so that you don't jump out from the market too early. You want to be able to stay to take your full profit. Because sometimes you might get into the market, and then when you start seeing pullbacks like this, then you run out. You feel, okay, I'm in trouble. It's pulling back. But if you know that it's gonna go, it's gonna go to the next review. If you're not properly risk managed, you're not over leveraged. There's no reason to be afraid. Just stay with the market and trust your judgment. And you know that you probably have your stop loss in place, or like I said, you're properly risk managed, so you're not afraid. So let it run. It's called pullbacks are necessary in the market. Pullbacks are necessary in the market. So you will do that. You will do that pullback, then it will drop. If it drops to this point, what do you expect? What are you expecting this to do? You expect that drop? Yep. And you expect that break. And when it breaks, what are you expecting again? A pullback to that zone. What else? A drop to this zone, and you expect it to break it. So that's what I'm waiting for. Why? Because I'm expecting this to be a reversal. So that's going to happen. Pull back to that zone again, and then drop again. You know. So if we're favored, we're going to see that reversal keep going down to that next zone. Why is this happening? Because we believe in corrections. We believe in demand and supply. Remember. Now, what do you see on the higher time frame? Do you see that big candle, this giant candle? That's an engulfing candle. It broke out of this zone massively. So what we know that price is always going to come back and correct every large move. It's going to always come back and correct every large move. That is why we know that this may actually come back to this point before finally even jumping up, you know, before jumping back up, either to that zone or to wherever it chooses to go. So you can even trade one pair alone throughout the week or even throughout the month, because you're just watching, you're following price action. Yep, that's that one, a typical example of price action. Let me pick any other one. Euro odd. Do I see anything here? Okay, let me look at this one. Remember, the same principle, nothing changes. Nothing changes. So first of all, first thing you want to do is to go to the higher time frame. Go to the higher time frame. I think I must have always kept this here to help me. So go to the higher time frame, identify where price had some reaction. Okay, let me take this out. So if you look at this chart, what would you see? You'll notice it seems like it's going up, right? It broke out of this, came back and retested, had some reaction here. How do I know? Okay, let me use my line chart and see things clearly. Yep, it had some form of reaction. Yeah. Can see that's you know, these reactions. Yeah, can see that as well. Can see this as well, structure. So your line chart pretty much just gives you the expo, call it cheat. This is the cheat code for you to be able to win in this market. Your line chart, it will show you where to draw your support and resistance lines clearly, more clearly. So I've seen that on the higher time frame. I'm just going to go down now to my lower time frame, maybe my daily chart, to see what else I can see. I'll go down to my 4-hour time frame. I can clearly see what's happening here. I don't know if any one of us can see this, but this is a giant consolidation happening here. It's a massive consolidation happening here. Yeah. In fact, this trade wasn't a very good one. Why was it not a good one? Because it got out of this consolidation, and it got out of the consolidation. What did it do? I would expect it to have come back and retest it, and jumped in. So if I was in this trade, I would have lost this trade if I entered, because naturally I would have wanted it to come back and retest. Let me put that in there. Okay. Now, I would have loved it if I wanted to trade this. To be honest, really, two things. I could trade it for two reasons. It broke out of a consolidation. Yeah, it broke out of it. So my TP would naturally be the length of that breakout. The target would be the length of that breakout. So if I entered this would have been a winner for me, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because what do you see? It got there. Yep. If I wanted to trade it, this is what I would have done. Once I see that breakout, I enter on this next candle. Then I ride it to the top, to this TP. Or I decided I won't enter on the breakout. I would wait till it comes back and retests it. But then I would have lost this trade. So sometimes you may not always win it. This was a terrible trade as far as I'm concerned, because it came out of this consolidation. I would have expected it to come back and retest it and jump up, but then probably because of news or whatever happened, or stop hunt or what have you, this happened. So it just really broke down. This would have hit my stop loss. Yep. So that's that about this one. This was not a good one for me. But if I was to trade it, take the risk of trading the breakout, immediately broke out of that zone, I entered the next candle, I would have won it, because it hit my target and smashed it even. So let me look for another one. USDJPY. USDJPY has been our favorite this few weeks. Just recently, just stopped trading it. So again, the higher time frame, maybe the weekly, to see what's happening there. Real simple. See that clearly. Okay, line charts. Put that on. What am I seeing? Yep, can clearly see that. What else? Can clearly see structure here. What else? Maybe the highs of this candle. Maybe here. Maybe here. Yep. Could work. I can just bring this down. But let me go down to the lower time frame now to see what's happening there. So the lower time frame, I can see structures still. By structure, I mean where price got to and reversed, got to, reversed, got to, reversed, got to, reversed. And what did you see? It finally broke it. It broke it. And what did it do? After breaking it, it came back to it. So this would be my zone. Why? Because price kept coming there, and finally when it broke it, and when it breaks the zone, what would you expect it to? You would expect it to naturally come back and test it, and then drop. That is on the daily. Now let me see if I think I see something else here. It seems as if it's trying to form a double bottom now, isn't it? Let me see. You see? It's trying to form a double bottom. So you see, your double bottoms can actually happen anywhere, really. Look at that. It did that, it did that, it did that, it did that. Yeah. So that's a typical example of something else that can happen. Another one is this. If you come to your lower time frame, you can even see more structures being created. More structures. Look at this. This is a structure, because what do you notice? When price got to those areas, it got there, it bounced, got there, it bounced, got there, it bounced. Yep. So every time it bounced, it went up. So are we looking at this going back to this point? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing you can also do, you can also draw your trend line. So these are some of the things you can do with price. You can draw your trend line to see what it can do, what price would do. You can do that. Either you do that or draw it like that. And you see? Okay, I think I actually drew this the first time. I drew this and for some reason it came back. Let me see. Yeah, I think I can manage this. I drew this. So you will notice price came out. Now, okay, I think this is what I did. Yeah, this was the first one I drew. I drew that when I missed. I did that and I missed that trade. Okay, so this was the real trend line. So that's to say that your trends, you may not always get the accurate drawings, but once you get the idea, that's all that matters, the zones. Because what did price do? It came out, it bumped into that area, it came out of that zone, then retested it and jumped up. Now, I would naturally take my profit somewhere around these zones. Why? Because these are places that price touched. If it touched that, it came down, touched that, came down, touched that. So I would wait for it to come to that zone before I can either jump out of the trade, because I know that if it get there, it's going to do the same things this one did. It's going to fall down. But if it breaks out of it, the next zone that it's getting to would be these zones. Yep. Then if it breaks out of this zone, the next zone that it's getting to will be these other zones as well. Yep. But let me just bring it down to the lower time frame, to the 1 hour chart. Now this is all messy. It's all messy, but I can still see zones. This is another zone. Why are they zones? Because these are places that prices had reactions. Came back, touched, reacted, touched, reacted, came back, touched, reacted, finally broke it. It broke it, but I would naturally expect that to come back and test it. But no, it didn't really test it, but then it dropped. Yeah, it didn't test it fully, but it dropped. Or if I bring this down, let's see. Okay, one would say it did. Let me look at the line chart. Oh, okay. Look at what happened. You see, the line chart can actually help you. So with the line chart, it actually got closer. It showed that it got closer to it. Yep, with the line chart before that drop, and then that jump. So this one jumped up. So we naturally see a pullback happening, and now we expect this to move to the upside. So that's really what it is about structure. Places that price reacted, areas that price reacted, turned back or broke is what you want to look out for, because if it did a reaction, there's going to come back and have a reaction at that point. The same thing for every other trade, every other pair, whether NZD, USD, price action, market structure, they work the same way. I don't know if anyone has any questions so far. Look at that head and shoulder. Look at that head and shoulder. The shoulder and that giant head. The giant head. The shoulder. And then we saw that move to the upside. So we were trading this. Let me use the line chart to see. Okay, this would be our base. To be our base. Now, what would be our TP? Our TP will be the distance between there and maybe here. I knew that was gonna happen. So either there, or you can even bring it down to just be. Okay, so that would be our target. So if you can move that here, okay, that was quite a lot. But anyway, I wouldn't even wait for it to get there before I take my profit, because that's how much there. From that point, let's say 160. But I would always take my profit. Remember, at every reactions. At every reaction, if it is surged up, I will take my profit here, wait for that pullback to finish, then I'll enter my next position, then take it to the next zone. I will take my profit here as well. You know? Yes, please. This one. Yes, yes, I use that to measure my target because it would be, now what tends to happen, I would not, okay, if I measure this may be, now this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to take it from where I saw this, from maybe somewhere from here, you know, from somewhere from that's where you saw that more reaction, the more, you know, so I'll probably take it from somewhere from here. But I may don't want to be very risky and take it from the lowest point. But I think if you take it from here, it's much more conservative because you can be rest assured that you're going to win. So if you take it from where you had that reaction, measure it from there, then take it up. So that would be your profit. That would be your target market, target price. Because if you look at it even, what did you notice? It's a reaction point. That is where the price got to before. You see what happens. You see the magic of price structure, market structure. Your target here is where price got to before. So it's an important place for price. Important place. We look back. It's an important place for price. So you're not far from the truth. Yeah. So this is how you trade your head and shoulder, and this is how you find your target profit. Yeah. Let me see if we find any other head and shoulder in this thing. Yep. Can you see another one just now? I can see this shoulder. Yep. Shoulder. Then the head. You see that? As the head. Then the shoulder. I remember what I said about head and shoulder. They are reversal patterns. They signal a reversal coming. So if I bring my line chart on there, it will tell me where my possible leg would be. Let me use here instead, because this is where the first leg is. So I can use there instead. So what will be my target for this head and shoulder? Would be the distance between this place and this place where I found the reaction. Yep, that will be my distance. So did my target get hit? Yes, of course. My target got hit. So even though I was trading on the higher time frame, I got out with a good profit, 700 pips. Broke out of it, tested, and jumped. So that's my target. Like I said earlier, you can enter on this next candle. If it breaks out, closes above, enter on the next candle and ride it to the top, or let it break out, come back to retest, then enter from there. That's a much more accurate entry point. Then you enter, then ride it to the top. Look at what's happening. An upward move, upward move, upward move. Sorry, a downward move, downward move, downward move, downward move. Then you see that head and shoulder, then it reverses. The same thing happened here, an upward move, an upward move. What did you notice? If you break this down, you will see a head and shoulder on this side as well. Let me break this down. You see that little head, little shoulder. Or even if I bring this to the lower time frame, I should be able to see that even properly. Oh, this thing. Okay, I can't see it clearly, so let's just maintain that one. So see that surge, see that shoulder, see that head. In fact, it's a big head. Call it headmaster. See that move, and then see that. So if I use my line chart, I can easily tell where my base would be, which would be here clearly. Yep. And what would be my TP? My TP, let me use here, distance between here and that base. Yep. Real simple and straightforward. If we bring it down to the base, did it hit your take profit or not? It sure did. It broke it even. It hit my take profit, broke it even, went even way down there. And with even without much pullbacks, as you can see. Yep, without much pullbacks. Yep. So that's how you trade that head and shoulder. They are very fantastic, very powerful patterns in the market. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay, yeah. That's where we get TPs from. Yeah, that's where we get our TPs from. It's real straightforward. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you see, you cannot unsee it. Your zones are your very powerful profit points. You know, where prices react, they are where you should be looking at. Because if it's reacted there, it's going to react there again. Your zones are very powerful. To start out, what you want to identify is on the higher time frame, identify where you see reactions. I see that reaction there. So I'm very confident that, okay, price is doing that. I can see more reactions on this side as well. That's all good. I can see reactions, you know, and come down to my lower time frame to see if I can notice more places. Sure enough. Now, can you see head and shoulder forming somewhere? Yes, I can. This is one. That's the shoulder forming here. That is the head. All of that is the head. And that's the head. Next shoulder blade is that one. And then the next shoulder is that one. And what's my TP? Go to your line chart. Sorry, line chart. Line chart will show you where your base will be. This was very, very ambitious. But let's see. Draw your chart from here to here. Oh, come on. Yep. That's your TP. So where will that TP be? Take it on here. Okay, just put it here. Did it hit your TP or not? Oh, yes, it did.
Yeah.
Just on it. It's as simple as that. It's really, 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 really straightforward. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You know, my mentor would say, I can't make these things up. It's true. I can't make it up. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. It's just your next zones. Now, if you take it, if you look at it from another perspective, it's a zone, because if you look at it from the weekly, that place is touched. It's where reactions occur in the past. That's the same place you had your TP. The same place you had your TP. You know? So that's what you would be looking out for in the market, to see your zones, to see your head and shoulders form. I wish I can see more double bottoms. Yeah, I can easily see head and shoulder than a double bottom, you know. So which is what you want to be looking at for in the market as well, and zones. And mind you, don't trade once you can't see anything in the market. Don't trade it. If you don't see it, don't trade it. There's no point. You don't need to. You don't need to rush it. You don't need to force it. Let it go. If you can't see it, no need to trade it. Like we were trading, trying to get this to work. GJ. Zone. You see? We got there, reversed, got there, reversed, got there, kept reversing. And when it broke it, came back and retested it, jumped in, came back and retested, then it went to the moon. You know, so see it come down now. So now this does not give me a good signal. Doesn't give me a good signal to trade it because it's supposed to break that, come back and retest and double. What are you seeing? It broke it. And instead of coming back to retest, it came back and broke it again. So I wouldn't trade this. You know, this is structure. I need to see it respect structure. If it doesn't respect it, and but if it breaks it, I have to wait to see it form another structure. Let me see. What's the question? What's the best time frame to look? Let me see that question. What's the best time frame to look for double bottoms or head and shoulders? You can find them anywhere. You can find them. They're all everywhere on the chart. You know, they're all everywhere on the chart. You can see them on the 1 hour, but we would trade majorly. We trade the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart. You know, majorly that's what we trade. You know, we just use the higher time frames to just look at zones to identify areas where price had some form of reaction. You know, like this. If you look at this, this is some places price reacted. You know, the places that price reacted. So these are just for our own take profits and what have you. You know. So what else now? Let me see what else. Let's see, this is another zone. Why? That's the highest place it got to. Now this is another one here. Why am I calling this zone? Because this is where price got to, refused to break and got back down. You know, got there, refused to break, got back down. And by the time it broke it, it came back and retested and jumped. And came back and retested, jumped. So it will always do things around where it's done things before. You know, so that will be your places for head what's it called, for your TPs. I would have seen this as a good head and shoulder, but the reason why this would not be a valid one, because it should actually come from down. That's my own test. This is a head and shoulder. Can't you see? It's a head and shoulder, right? Because you can see that move. In as much as it gave a valid win, it gave a good win. See, head, shoulder, head, and then another shoulder. So using my line chart, let me look for the base. That's my base. That is where I had my two shoulders touching. Now, what would be my TP? My TP would be the distance between here. Oops. The distance between here and here. Now, let's see if we won this trade or lost it. Come on. And then what happened? Bam. Okay. That embarrassed me there. Okay. Distance between there and here. And did we win it? Yes, we did. And where did it get to? The next zone that we identified on the higher time frame. The next zone. So it got there perfectly. So this was a win for us as well. So although I wouldn't trade this, why? Because you notice it was coming from here. It should be coming from down, but it's all good. If it's head and shoulder, it's head and shoulder. If you can see it, you can trade it. If you can see it, you can trade it. So once that is looking at it on the H4, let's see head and shoulder on the lower time frames. If you can see, this is another head and shoulder, but let me see. Okay, that's the head and shoulder. Can you see it? It's coming from up. That's the head, shoulder. Come on. That's the shoulder. That's the head. Massive head. I don't like this head and shoulder anyway, but just for reference purposes, let's see what happens. Don't like it, it's not forming well. Yeah, because let me see, pick all of that. Yeah, like I always say, if you don't get the confirmation on the trade, do not take it. So that's the head and shoulder. So if I was to take this, so Let me look at the line chart to see where they both meet. Okay, so shoulder can, no. So let's look at that. That's where they both meet, somewhere around here. Okay, I think they even got here. Yeah, that would not be good, a good one. But I may not even take it. So that's it. That's where the price got to. Yep. So is it a valid head and shoulder? Did we make profit from this? We sure did, but in as much as we didn't get to, but this is a price that's still happening anyway. So who knows? We may have gotten, but anyway, even if I didn't get there, I would have gotten out with 122 pips. I don't know who would not like 122 pips. And I only had how many pips before I got to my target? Only 16, 18 pips. I'm fine with 100, and I'm fine with 122 pips. I wouldn't be waiting at the market for 16 pips to lose the whole of that 100 and something pips. Yep. So that's just that about that. Head and shoulders, they're fantastic. You can see it here again. Yep. Shoulder and then TP. And you see it again in the past. Head, shoulder, reverse head and shoulder, whichever one you want to call it. It's the same thing, the same principle applies to them. So what you want to do also is just go to the charts and have a look. See if you can see them yourself. See if you can see them yourself. You know what to look for, you know what it looks like. Yep. Shoulder, head, shoulder, drop. What else? Shoulder, head, shoulder, drop. Yep. Shoulder, head, shoulder, drop. Yep. Yeah, it can be used on anything. Let's look at head and shoulder on Bitcoin. Excuse me. Let me look at this on the Bitcoin for some of our Bitcoiners. Come here. Lumi loves Bitcoin. Now, look at this. Price action, they never fail. Oh, okay. I won't even go to the higher time frame because that was when Bitcoin was doing its thing and eventually dropped massively. So I find this structure happening. Structure. Why structure? Because these are areas that price got to, reversed. So that's why they're important to me, because they're important to price, they're important to me as well. So I need to look at them. Now, okay, because I don't know, most of us don't trade the H4. Let's go down to the smaller time frame. Let me see. Can you see head and shoulder? Can someone, okay, just identify head and shoulder here for me. Let me do it like this, that way you clearly see it. Can you see any head and shoulder? Oh, okay. Let's come to the 30 minutes chart. Maybe that should be able to. Anyone? Any head and shoulders that you can see?
Wait a minute. I'm looking.
Okay.
Wait a minute. No. Wait. Okay. Let me see. Zoom in. Oh yeah, I lost it. It was to the left. I thought I seen one to the left. I'm looking at it right there. It just moved again.
This one?
Oh.
This one? This one?
It was.
What about this one? This one. Remember? This one is search, shoulder.
Yeah, I can see that.
Head.
Yep.
Yep, and then the other shoulder. Mm. Yeah, they work together. They work the same. It's price. So as long as it's price, it's tradable. You would always find those things. So your line charts. Let's find out where the base is. Yeah, that's the base. Find out where the TP is. The TP, the distance between there and here. And did it hit it? Yeah, we lost that one. We lost it. Oh no, we didn't. I thought we did. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's the lowest the price got to. We didn't lose it. Yep. We hit TP. We hit TP. We smashed TP because he hit it here and even went down a few pips. Did you see that? So yep, that worked. It went down how many pips again? Yeah. Whoa, 180 Bitcoin. So yep, that was a winner for us. Head and shoulder. Let me see if we can see more of it. It's all choppy, but yep. I remember head and shoulder is not the only thing that you want to trade in the market as well. You also look for double bottoms and double tops. Those ones they also work magic as well. But if you love head and shoulders, you can just stick to it. But if you cannot see it, sorry?
I thought I saw a double bottom. No, I thought I saw a double bottom, but
so it can tend to look for a double top as well. Like this may be a valid one. Touch that, did that, pull back, touch that, then dropped. That may be a valid one. Let me see. This may be a valid double bottom. That's and then that's such. This is a very fantastic one. Yep. What did it do? Saw that move. Remember what I said about double tops and double bottoms being reversal patterns. So you saw it coming doing lower lows and lower highs, lower lows and lower highs. So and then when it was ready to reverse, it did a double bottom or a W. And then what are you seeing now? It's doing a higher low, higher high and higher low. So it's going back to the different zones where you identify zones. That is what you're going to keep seeing. Where it's turned, all of these places are all zones. Sorry, I don't want to draw that. So, yep, these are zones where prices had reactions when they got to. So these are zones. So what you're looking for now is where you're going to take profit. And where you're going to take profit? These zones. These zones. So already you can see a reaction here when it got here. So if it breaks that, it's going back here, it's going here. If it breaks that, you have a free trade to the upside here. Yeah? And how do you trade double bottoms as well? The same principle. You find that your TP is the distance between there and the bottom. Did we hit TP? And then you use your line chart again to find out where the top is. There. And that is the top there. Yep, that's the top there. Now, did we hit TP? You bet we did. Yep, we smashed TP. We smashed TP because it went after that. Where did it go to? To the moon. It's going to the moon right now. So we've already taken a profit. Bitcoin, this is 3,948 pips. Bitcoin, double bottom. That's an example. Same thing goes with Ripple. Let's look at gold as well. Ethereum, same thing, same principle. Where's gold? For me, see right there. Let's see that. Can we see double top? Sorry, head and shoulders. I can clearly see one. I can even see a reverse one. Can see one here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and then shoulder. So where is my base? That this is showing this as my base is fine. I won't mind if this is my base. I don't mind. I can take it. You know, that's the where this and this where the cross. Let's just say this place and this place cross, but it never crossed. I'm gonna take the lowest of them. I'm not gonna take this one because that means it's more risky for me. If I wanted to take, I won't take this one because it's more risky for me. It means that my TP is gonna be from here to that part. That's where my TP is gonna be. But I'd rather take it from here. Yeah, it offers me much more. It's a safer TP than that one. Head and shoulders. I mean, yeah, head and shoulders should just cross. But if this doesn't cross, I would always take the one with the lower TP than this one. So I measure from there to this place. Where's my TP? It did slam it. Yes, it did slam it. So although I know if I'd taken it from here, maybe that would have still been a win. But I bet it's better for me to take it from where I'm sure I'm definitely gonna win than to gamble it. Yep, yeah, it smashed my TP, but I'm fine with just here. I'm fine with just here because how many pips was that? It's important, pips, not how many pips from there to this place. That was 87 pips. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with 87 pips. So immediately I see another head and shoulders. That move. That move. That move. That move. I thought it's some ugly head and shoulder, but I'll take it. I'll take it. See? So line graph. Where is my base? Okay, I take that place. Why do I take this? Because that's where the intersection happens between this place and this place. Yep. So I'll take this. Where will be my TP? My TP will be the distance between here and here, the lowest point. I thought I fixed this issue. Still experiencing it. So be the distance between there and the lowest point of that graph. And did my TP hit? You bet it did. Yep, smashed it, smashed it, smashed it. Yep. Now, one of the other things I used to do, I used to take it from here, the point that the head got to. I used to use that as my TP, but I only do that if I know that I'm going to do that cautiously. Anyway, I can use my trailing stop loss to move just in case, or I can take profit how intermittently as it goes to the next zone. I take profit, but I'm expecting it to get to that level, you know, so I can stay in the market longer. So that would mean my TP would be smashed even on gold. Yep. Any more heads and shoulders? There are numerous heads and shoulders everywhere. If you look for them, you would see them. Shoulder, head, shoulder, boom. Let me see. Oh, I'm on. Okay, let me see. Or let me look at them on the smaller time frame. Okay, let's look at them on the smaller time frame to see how it works because some of us don't trade the higher time frames. Let me see. Okay, let's look at the smaller time frames. And the head and shoulders. Yep, I see one here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, boom. Any more heads and shoulders? Yeah, that's just too big. Any more? Shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder, boom. Any more? Oh, sorry. Okay, any more? Let me take it to the 5 minutes chart. Can even see a double bottom here. That's not a valid one. I would not have taken that trade. Yeah, double bottom, valid one. Well, so that's just it. That's just it. In order not to make this recording too long, so I might still do some more sessions because what I really want us to understand it. So if you have any questions at all concerning these, you have to ask me, even on the platform, wherever you find me, just ask me so I can explain them because it's really powerful. Market structure is really powerful, really, really, really powerful. So you need to identify where your prices are, you know, where it got to, lowest points, or where it has reaction, you know. So that's me on the H4. Can put it there. Why? Because when it got here, it reacted, got here, it reacted. I'm always looking at it from where the price is at that point in time. So because I know that if it's here, it's probably going to either go up or come down, you know. So if I look here as well, look at this. What does price do? It broke that, came back and retested it, and then boom, to the moon, you know. And right now it's here. It dropped, and then it's coming back to retest it. It might be coming down here. If it doesn't, it's going to go up and then retest it and come to this next spot. So that's why you need all of your zones. You need to identify your support and resistance lines and your zones. Okay. Any question before we go for tonight? Any?
No, that's it for me.
Cool. So I would over the weekend I would mark out a lot of charts and see some of the ones that we're having anyway. You know, some of the charts. Yes, please.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, I think Fumi is saying something. What did you say?
Oh, I said that sounds good. I was saying thank you.
You say when it's what? No. Sorry, Didi, not you. Sorry, Didi, not you. Fumi is saying something on the other side. Fumi is saying something on Zoom. Sorry. Yeah. You can start marking up the charts anyway because it's even good when the market is silent. It's good, so you should see what happened throughout. You see what happened throughout the session. I mean, throughout the week. You know. So that's what you want to do. See what happened throughout the week. Then allow. Can you hear me? Then throughout the week. Then just when the market opens, we see if there's going to be a gap. If there's a gap, then you can just factor that in to your trade. When there is a gap, also note when there is a gap in the market, the market will always do whatever it can to fill that gap. So if it was up here and it opened with a gap, it's gonna try to go back and fill that before continuing down. So always take that into consideration. When it opens with a gap, if it was going down, open with a gap up there, it's probably going to come back and fill that gap then before going back up. Let's say its original direction is supposed to go up and it opened down. It's opened, it's opened up. It stopped down, opened up. It's going to come back and fill it and go back where it's supposed to go. So it normally does that. But just you can create your charts throughout the day, throughout this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday you can start seeing what's happening, what's going to happen. Then just use that. Like I'm going to start chatting from Saturday night or Sunday. No problem. So I will get all these chats out and then send to you, and then we can all look at it together. Right? All right then. We still have a session together, a one-on-one session.